Good morning, everyone. We're the Group 3, and this morning we will discuss the Lesson 3, Module 13 about the Hindu and the European epic, which has 5 subtopics: the Epic of India, the Epic of Germany, the Epic of France, the Epic of Spain, and the Epic of Italy. And this morning I will discuss first the Hindu epic. Everybody read. Thank you. A Hindu epic is a lengthy narrative poem, typically of ancient origin, that revolves around historic figures, significant events, and profound philosopher or religious themes central to Hindu culture. This epic serves not only literary works but also vital sources of moral, ethical, and spiritual teachings, deeply influencing Hindu traditions, values, and practices. There are 2 proponents of Hindu, and those are Ramayana and Mahabharata. And now let me discuss first the Ramayana. Everybody read. Thank you. Ramayana, the Ramayana attributed to the sage Valmiki, is an ancient Sanskrit epic that narrates the life of Lord Rama, an avatar of Vishnu. It emphasizes virtues such as duty, loyalty, and righteousness through the story of Rama's exile, the adoptive of his wife Sita by the demon king Ravana, and Rama's historic quest of rescue her. And now let's proceed to Mahabharata. Everybody read. Thank you. The Mahabharata, traditionally attributed to Vijaya, and the longest epic in the world literature with over 200,000 verses. It recounts the conflict between 2 royal families, the Pandavas and Kauravas, culminating in the Kurukshetra War. It explores the complex themes such as duty, justice, morality through stories, philosophical discourses like Bhagavad Gita, and moral dilemmas faced by its characters. The Ramayana and Mahabharata are the 2 of the most significant and revered epics in Hindu culture and Indian literature. Both texts are foundational to Hindu religious traditions, moral values, and cultural practices, yet they differ in scope, themes, and narrative focus.
Now let's proceed to the European epics. European epics are long narrative poems that tells heroic stories rooted in a nation's history, mythology, or cultural identity. They often highlight bravery, honor, loyalty, and the struggle between good and evil. This epic serves as a way for early societies to preserve their beliefs, traditions, and values before written records became common. Now let's proceed to the European epics, which is the first is the Greek epics. The Iliad. The Iliad is an ancient Greek epic by Homer about the final weeks of the Trojan War. It focuses on the conflict between Achilles and Agamemnon, showing themes of honor, pride, heroism, and fate. The second one from Greek is the Odyssey. The Odyssey is also by Homer. It tells the adventures of Odysseus as he tries to return home after the Trojan War. He faces monsters, gods, and temptations, showing cleverness, perseverance, and the value of home and family. Now let's proceed to the third, which is the English epic, the Beowulf. The Beowulf is an old English epic about the hero Beowulf who defeats the monster Grendel, then the Grendel's mother, and later a deadly dragon. It explores bravery, loyalty, leadership, and the struggle between good and evil. Third one is the epic from French, the Song of Roland. The Song of Roland is a medieval French epic that tells the heroic death of Roland, a knight of Charlemagne during a battle in Spain. It emphasizes loyalty, courage, sacrifice, and Christian faith. The third one is the Norse from epic. First is the Nibelungenlied, a German epic about the hero Siegfried, his murder, and the revenge sought by his wife Kriemhild. It is filled with themes of betrayal, honor, tragedy, and heroic deeds. The second one is the poetic Edda, a collection of Old Norse poems about gods like Odin, Thor, and Loki, as well as the legendary heroes. It explains the creation of the world and the coming of Ragnarok, the end of the world. The third from the Norse epic is the Prose Edda, written by Snorri Sturluson. It retells Norse myths and legends in the story form. It explores the gods, creators, and cosmology of Norse mythology. The fifth epic is from Italian. The first one is the Orlando Furioso. It is an adventures of knights during Charlemagne's reign. The second one is the Orlando Innamorato. It's a prequel of Orlando Furioso. The third one is the Divine Comedy, or the Dante. It's often considered epic, the journey through hell, purgatory, and the heaven.
Okay, now I will tackle about the Song of Roland, which is the epic of France. So here's the pictures of the epic. And now I will give you the brief description about this epic. Okay? This epic is considered the greatest and oldest surviving epic of France. It is a center of the Battle of Rosebud Pass, where Roland and his small army are ambushed because of Ganelon, a traitor who betrays the French to the enemies. Roland fights bravely and refuses to blow his horn, the elephant, to call for help because of his pride. When he finally blows it is too late. Roland dies for exhaustion and wounds. So, it tells the story of Roland, a brave knight and nephew of King Charlemagne during the war in Spain. So here's the 8 concept found in the epic Song of Roland. So the first one is heroism, which is Roland embodies the qualities of a hero: bravery, strength, and honor. He chooses courage over self-preservation, even if it costs his life. So the second one is the loyalty and fealty. So characters are bound by loyalty to their king or lord. Roland refuses to betray even in the face of danger. So the third one is the betrayal. So the character Ganelon represents treachery motivated by pride and jealousy. So his betrayal sets the tragedy in the motions. So the last key concept that found in the epic is the good versus evil, which is the epic frames the conflict as Christian knights versus invading enemies. More importantly, it contrasts moral goodness with human corruption. So the second one is the philosophies reflected in the text, which is tackled Mr. Alberto.
Today, my report is about philosophies related to the text. First philosophy is feudal philosophy. Feudal philosophy centers on a strict social hierarchy where people have specific roles and responsibilities. Loyalty to one's lords or superiors is highly valued, and individuals are expected to obey the rules of their class. In many texts, this is shown through characters who follow or challenge the expectation of their social position. The second philosophy is chivalric philosophy. What is chivalric philosophy? Chivalric philosophy refers to the code of conduct followed by knights during medieval times. It emphasizes bravery, honor, loyalty, and respect for women, and protection of the weak. Texts that show noble heroes, courteous behavior, and heroic deeds often reflect this philosophy. The third is moral responsibility. This philosophy focuses on a person's duty to choose what is right and wrong and avoid what is wrong. Characters are guided by moral responsibility, think about the consequences of their actions, and make decisions based on justice, honesty, and fairness. It highlights importance of being accountable for one's behavior. The fourth one is the philosophy of duty. This philosophy teaches that individuals have obligations they must fulfill, whether personal or social or moral. Doing one's duty, regardless of personal desires, shows discipline and commitment. In literature, characters who prioritizes responsibility over personal benefit often reflect on this belief.
Once again, good morning everyone. Now let us proceed to the next part, which is all about the Epic of India. The Indian epics are among the world's oldest and most influential stories. They are not only entertain, but also teach important lessons about duty, courage, family, and righteousness. So the two major of Indian epics are the Ramayana, the second one is the Mahabharata, have shaped India's culture, values, religion, and literature for a thousand of years. Now, let us know the background of the Indian epics. So, the Indian epics Ramayana and the Mahabharata are ancient Sanskrit texts written a thousand of years ago. So, they teach moral values, duties, cultural traditions, and spiritual lessons. So, these epics reflects the beliefs of Indian society, especially about the right conduct or the dharma, family loyalty, justice, and the struggle between good and evil. So like for example here, okay, this is the example of Ramayana. Okay, the Ramayana shows how Prince Rama follows duty even when he faces hardship. So, this example shows that it teaches that doing what is right is more important than personal. Next is the main story of Ramayana. So, the Ramayana which is all about the Prince Rama. So the Prince Rama is exiled from his kingdom for 14 years, and his wife Sita is kidnapped by the demon king Ravana and Rama. So with the help of Hanuman and an army of monkeys rescues her. So this example or this summarize of Ramayana shows that the story demonstrates loyalty, righteousness, courage, and the triumph of good over evil. So one of the example of this is when Rama travels across India and battles Ravana to save Sita. So this shows Rama's bravery and his duty as a husband and prince. Okay. Next is the summary of Mahabharata. Okay. So the Mahabharata focuses on the conflict between the two groups of cousins. So the Pandavas and the Kauravas. So which leads to the great Kurukshetra war, which is the war. So this summarize of Mahabharata. It teaches the lesson about justice, morality, consequences of choices, and the importance of fulfilling one's duty. So like for example is the Arjuna. So Arjuna refuses to fight, but Krishna guides him through the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. So this example shows that Krishna teaches that one must do their duty even when it is emotionally difficult. Okay, now let us proceed to number 3, which is all about structure of Indian epics. So the Ramayana has 7 books. Mahabharata have 18 books in the world. So these both epics are divided into parts that explain different stages of the characters, lives, struggles, and moral lessons. So, like for example of this is the Bhagavad Gita. So, the Bhagavad Gita is found inside the Mahabharata. So, it is a spiritual guide for making righteous decisions.
So the next one is the main characters. So we have here Ramayana and Mahabharata characters. So the first is Ramayana characters. We have here the Rama. Please read everyone the example. Okay. So Rama, it is it is show obedience, humility, and duty. And we have the second one. Please read the example. Okay, thank you. So Sita represents purity and loyalty. And the third one is Hanuman. Please read everybody the example. Okay, thank you. So Hanuman shows devotion and courage. So we have here the second one, which is the Mahabharata characters. So we have the first one, Arjuna. Arjuna hesitates. One of the example of Arjuna is Arjuna hesitates to fight these relatives. So Arjuna shows the struggle between emotion and duty. The second one is Krishna. The example of it is Krishna teaches Arjuna about drama. So Krishna represents divine wisdom and guidance. The third one is Yudhishthira. Example of it is always tells the truth even when it hurts him. So Yudhishthira symbols of justice and righteousness. And then the fifth one is the themes of the Indian epics. We have here the first theme, the Dharma. So please read the example, everyone. Okay, so Dharma is right action lead to victory. And then the second theme is the loyalty and devotion. The example of it is Hanuman's loyalty to Rama. So loyalty and devotion, through devotion gives strength. And then the third theme is God versus evil. The example of it is Rama versus Ravana, Pandavas versus Kauravas. So this is a good may struggle, but it wins in the end. And the fourth theme is the karma or action and consequences. The example of it is the Kauravas suffered due to their wrong action. And these actions have consequences. And I will give to Jasmine the next.
So now, let's proceed to the importance of the Indian epics. So, Indian epics such as the Ramayana and the Mahabharata are the highly important in the literature, the culture, and education. Their significance can be seen in the following Indian importance of the epics. The first one is the moral and ethical lesson. Indian epics teaches the values such as the honesty, the loyalty, and the courage and respect. The second one is the cultural and religious significance. These epics shape many cultural traditions, festivals, and practices in the Indian and other Asian countries. The third one is the historical and the social insights. So, these stories give us the picture of the ancient Indian society, its politics, the family, the structures, and the gender roles in the society. And the fourth one is the literary value. An Indian epics are masterpiece of the world literature. They use the poetic language, symbolism, the powerful, and the storytelling inspire the writers and the artists. And the second one is the values of the Indian epics. So what is the values of the Indian epics? For example, Rama battles Ravana. So the values of the Indian epics, the Dharma, the rightness, the duty, the characters like Rama and Sudhishthira show the importance of fulfilling one's duty, being responsible in doing what is right, and during difficult situations. The second one is the loyalty and devotion. Humanity's loyalty to Rama and Sita's devotion to her husband highlight faithfulness, commitment, and dedication. And the fourth one is the honesty and the truthfulness. Rama and show concern, empathy for one another, reminding us of the threat of people and the kindness and understanding. The second one is the justice. So the justice of this epic in Indian, self-sacrifice. Many heroes in the epics willingly give your personal comfort or desires for the good or others to welfare the community. And the last one is respect and elders and teachers. Characters often follow the advice of parents, elders, and gurus, showing the importance of the respect in humanity and the guidance. So that's all, and thank you.
And now let's dive into the fascinating world of Epic of Germany. German epics are long narrative poems that depict heroic deeds, legendary events, and cultural values. They reflect the beliefs, traditions, and moral ideals of early Germanic societies. As you can see, these weren't just stories, they were a cultural mirror. They told the people who they were and what they stood for. Think of them as the original blockbusters, but deeply rooted in the moral and ethical framework of early Germanic life. We see themes of courage, community, and faith woven throughout. To understand the themes, we first need the historical context. How did this story survive? The fact that they were originally oral is crucial. Imagine these stories being chanted or sung around a fire. They had to be memorable, impactful, and easily retold. This oral tradition is why we see such a powerful blend of myth and history, and why these core themes, bravery, loyalty, and the constant presence of tragic fate, are so prominent. The reliance on oral tradition meant the stories had to be dynamic, adapting slightly with each retelling while keeping the essential heroic figures intact. These values are not just in the stories, they are the structure of the stories. Every major plot point serves the test or affirm these core values. Right. To illustrate these points, we turn to arguably the most famous German epic, which is the Nibelungenlied. The Nibelungenlied is the ultimate example of the themes we just discussed. Siegfried embodies the ideal hero, which is the strong, brave, and loyal. However, the story quickly shifts from heroism to tragedy. His death, a result of betrayal, sets the stage for his wife Kriemhild's relentless quest for revenge. This epic perfectly captures that sense of inevitable tragic fate that defined the Germanic worldview. Even the greatest hero cannot escape their destiny.
And now let's move on to the third one, which is the clash between honor and destiny. Throughout the story, characters make decisions based on honor, defending their family, proving loyalty, and protecting their reputation. However, their actions often lead to unavoidable tragedy. Even when they try to do what is right, fate forces them into conflict. This clash between personal honor and destiny creates the dramatic tension that defines the Nibelungenlied and give it its powerful emotional conflict. And now, let's move on to the themes and literary elements. The first one is the heroism and tragic fate. German epics often show heroes who perform extraordinary deeds, defeating enemies, protecting kingdoms, and standing up for honor. However, many of these heroes face tragic endings, no matter how brave or honorable they are. This combination shows the medieval belief that fate is powerful and sometimes unavoidable. It also adds emotional depth to the story, making heroism meaningful because it comes with great sacrifice. The second one is feudal loyalty and conflict. Medieval society was structured around loyalty to rulers, family, and king. In German epics, characters must follow this loyalty, even when it puts them in difficult situations. Conflicts often arise when loyalty to one person clashes with duty to another. This creates moral dilemmas that drive the plot forward, such as choosing between family honor and personal love. These struggles highlight how complicated medieval social expectations were. The third one is symbolism and supernatural elements. German epics use symbolic objects and magical elements to enrich the story. Examples include enchanted swords, cursed treasures, or heroes with supernatural powers. These elements are not just for excitement. They represent deeper ideas such as power, greed, destiny, or justice. By mixing reality with myth, the epics show how medieval people explain the world through both logic and legend. And for the conclusion, these German epics has a lasting influence. German epics, especially the Nibelungenlied, have influenced later literature, music, art, and even modern storytelling. Many themes and characters continue to appear in films, books, and operas. Their cultural importance has made them a lasting part of Germany's heritage. Second, cultural significance. These epics reflect the values of medieval German society, such as bravery, loyalty, honor, and justice. They help modern readers understand how people of the past viewed life, relationships, and morality. They also preserve myths and legends that shape German cultural identity. Last is the modern relevance. Even today, the themes found in German epics still connect with readers. Stories about courage, love, betrayal, revenge, and destiny remain relatable across generations. The characters' struggles show universal human emotions, making these ancient stories meaningful in modern times.
Once again, good morning. I am Rika Misteo, and this is the continuation of our report, The Epic of Spain. The Epic of Spain refers to the traditional heroic stories or poems from Spanish history. This epic celebrates brave warriors, great battles, and important events that shaped Spain. They were often sung or recited the poets called jugglers. So the most famous Spanish epic are the El Cantar de Music, the most famous epic poem of Spain. So it tells the story of Rodrigo Diaz de Vivar, known as El Cid, a brave knight who fought for honor, loyalty, and justice. It shows Spanish values like bravery, faithfulness, and love for one's land. The El Cid Cantar, so as you can see the picture, is the El Cantar de Music, which follows the life of Rodrigo Diaz de Vivar, known as El Cid, banished from his homeland due to false accusation. So this story proves his loyalty and bravery by winning battles, protecting people, and gaining honor through his action. His courage to help him regain the king's trust and restore his family status. So these Spanish epics highlight values such as honor, bravery, loyalty, and justice, blending real history with heroic legend to show the struggle and triumphs of medieval Spain. So that would be all of my topic. To continue with, may I call on my co-reporter for the continuation of the Epic of Spain. So once again, I am Rika Misteo, and good morning.
Good day everyone, I am Shanine Banyares, and today I will continue the report of Epic of Spain. Spanish epics are special because they tell stories that mix real history with legends. This means the events are partly true and partly imagined, making the stories exciting and meaningful at the same time. They often talk about the long conflict between Christians and Moors in medieval Spain, showing how people fought for their land, their beliefs, and their freedom. These stories also focus on strong values like bravery, loyalty, and adventure. The heroes in Spanish epics are shown as brave warriors who stay loyal to their families, their leaders, and their mission. They face many challenges, go on long journeys, and show courage even when the situation is difficult. Because of this, Things Spanish epics are not just stories. They also teach lessons about courage, honor, and determination. They help us understand the history of Spain while enjoying exciting tales of heroes and great adventures.
Let's move forward to the Epic of Antony. Italy has a rich literary tradition, and several of the world's greatest epics come from the Italian writers. These epics explore religion, heroism, love, war, and the human soul. In the Epic of Italy, there are 4 Italian epics under. The first one, we have the Divine Comedy. The author of Divine Comedy is Dante Alighieri. The Divine Comedy is the most famous epics of Italy and one of the greatest works of world literature. It tells the story of Dante's spiritual journey through three realms of afterlife. The Divine Comedy has the three realms of afterlife. We have the Inferno, which means hell, the Purgatorio, which means purgatory, and the Paradiso, which means heaven. That is the first, guided by the Roman poet Virgil, symbolizing human reason, and later by Beatrice, symbolizing divine and love. The Divine Comedy has four themes. The first one, we have the consequences of sin, the redemption of forgiveness. The third one, the search for the truth and God. And the fourth one, we have the spiritual growth and moral judgment. The Divine Comedy shaped the Italian language and gave readers deep moral and spiritual guide about human life, choices, and destiny. Alright. Now we have the second Italian epics. We have the Aeneid. The author of the Aeneid is Virgil. Although written during ancient Rome, the Aeneid is considered part of Italy's epic heritage because Italy was the center of the Roman Empire. So the story follows Aeneas, a Trojan warrior who escapes the fallen city of Troy and sails to Italy. There he becomes the ancestor of the Roman people. The Aeneid has four themes. We have the duty and sacrifice, fate and divine will, leadership, and war and adventure. The Aeneid became Rome's national epic, shaping Italian identity and influencing later European literature. The third one, we have the Orlando Furioso. The author of this is Lodovico Ariosto. Orlando Furioso continues the story of Charlemagne's knights. It focuses the knight of Orlando who goes mad over Furioso because of his unreturned love of the Princess Angelica. The epic is known for magic, knights, adventures, romance, and humor. It combines fantasy and reality in an imaginative and exciting way. The Orlando Furioso has 5 themes. Under this, we have the love and madness, heroism, war between Christians and Saracens, and fourth, we have magic and destiny, and the last one is importance. It is the greatest chivalric epic of the Italian Renaissance and influenced drama, music, and European poetry. The fourth one and the last one, we have the Jerusalem Delivered. The author of this is Torquato Tasso. This epic is set during the First Crusade, where Christian knights attempt to reclaim Jerusalem from Muslim forces. Tasso mixes history, romance, and myth. The important characters include Godfrey of Bouillon, the Christian leader. The second is Clorinda, a warrior maiden. The third one, we have Rinaldo and Armida, lovers affected by the magic. The Jerusalem Delivered has 4 themes. We have the faith and joy. Second, we have conflict between love and responsibility. Third, we have war and sacrifice. And the last is heroism. Jerusalem Delivered deeply influenced European literature and opera, blending spiritually with action. So, in conclusion, Italy's epics over thousands of years of storytelling from ancient Rome to the Renaissance. They explore humanity, that deepest struggles like love, war, faith, sin, destiny, and redemption. This masterpiece shaped not only Italian literature, but the entire literary world, and that could be God.
Now let's proceed to the European epics. European epics. Now let's proceed to the European epics. European epics are long narrative poems that tells heroic stories rooted in a nation's history, mythology, or cultural identity. They often highlight bravery, honor, loyalty, and the struggle between good and evil. This epic serves as a way for early societies to preserve their beliefs, traditions, and values before written records became common. Now let's proceed to the European epics, which is the first is the Greek epics, the Iliad. The Iliad is an ancient Greek epic by Homer about the final weeks of the Trojan War. It focuses on the conflict between Achilles and Agamemnon, showing themes of honor, pride, heroism, and faith. The second one from Greek is the Odyssey. The Odyssey is also by Homer. It tells the adventures of Odysseus as he tries to return home after the Trojan War. He faces monsters, gods, and temptations, showing cleverness, perseverance, and the value of home and family. Now let's proceed to the third, which is the English epic, the Beowulf. The Beowulf is an old English epic about the hero Beowulf who defeats the monster Glendel, then the Glendel's mother, and later a deadly dragon. It explores bravery, loyalty, leadership, and the struggle between good and evil. Third one is the epic from French, the Song of Roland. The Song of Roland is a medieval French epic that tells the heroic death of Roland, a knight of Charlemagne during a battle in Spain. It emphasizes loyalty, courage, sacrifice, and Christian faith. The third one is the Norse from epic. First is the Nibelungenlied, a German epic about the hero Siegfried, his murder, and the revenge sought by his wife Kriemhild. It is filled with themes of betrayal, honor, tragedy, and heroic deeds. The second one is the Poetic Edda, a collection of Old Norse poems about gods like Odin, Thor, and Loki, as well as the legendary heroes. It explains the creation of the world and the coming of Ragnarok, the end of the world. The third from the Norse epic is the Prose Edda, written by Snorri Sturluson. It retells Norse myths and legends in the story form. It explores the gods, creators, and cosmology of Norse mythology. The fifth epic is from Italian. The first one is the Orlando Furioso. It is an adventures of knights during Charlemagne's reign. The second one is the Orlando Innamorato. It's a prequel of Orlando Furioso. The third one is the Divine Comedy, or the Dante. It's often considered epic, the journey through hell, purgatory, and the heaven.